You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible. Folks, the 2020 election is next year. Democrats, of course, are trying to get as many votes as possible. Of course, we have the first caucus in Iowa, and then we're going to have folks voting in New Hampshire, Nevada, California, Georgia, Florida, all states across the country. And one of the things that we kept hearing after 2016 is, oh, my goodness, what must the Democrats do to win these disaffected white voters? What is it going to take to win these rural white voters? But do y'all realize that since 1976, Democrats ain't won the white vote? Do you hear what I say? They have not won the white vote. See, part of the problem when you have this conversation is, like right now, there are people who have been saying that, oh, Democrats, they got to sit here and nominate Joe Biden, because of Joe Biden, he can really go after those Democratic votes that take place there, in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, and he can bring them back. Except it's not really the case. Show this graphic here. Leah Daltrey, of course, she actually put this graphic up on social media, and folks, the numbers don't lie. 2012, Obama got 39% of the white vote. 2008, he got 43% of the white vote. 2004, John Kerry got 41% of the white vote. Al Gore got 42% of the white vote. Bill Clinton got 44% of the white vote. 39% of the white vote in 1992. In 1988, Dukakis got 40% of the white vote. Walter Mondale, 34% of the white vote. And if you look at, of course, Jimmy Carter, the highest, 49% of the white vote. That was 1976. So the reality, Avis, is if Democrats want to win, the reality is you don't win by, like, there's a liberal group, a liberal PAC who wants to raise $50 million to try to go flip Trump voters in rural America.
Complete waste of $50 million.
Right. We saw Hillary Clinton in 2016, her campaign throwing millions trying to flip white Republican women in the suburbs. The reality is, if Democrats win, you win by getting 39, 40% of the white vote and putting your money in having turnout among black voters, Latino voters, Asian voters, when you talk about Jewish voters, people who have the coalition of voters. That's how you win. You ain't flipping Trump people.
No, you're not. It's a complete waste of money, a complete waste of time. What I find very interesting about that particular chart in particular, if you look at the proportion of whites who supported the Democratic candidate, you had both the last campaign of Obama getting 39% of the vote, as well as Bill Clinton getting 39% of the vote for one of his elections. But the interesting thing is that was when there was a third party.
Right.
Right? The third person running. So what's interesting is...
grab it back up while Avis is talking. Go ahead.
So when you had just a two-man race between Mitt Romney and Obama, Obama only got 39% of the white vote, and he still won.
And how did he win?
He won by maximizing the rising coalition of black and brown people. And another thing that I think is important for people to realize that, yes, if you maximize the vote, the black vote, number one, the real reason why he won was the black vote. I really believe that oftentimes people over-exaggerate, to be perfectly frank, the impact of the brown vote. So let's get real about that, too.
Well, and actually, truth be told, though, he didn't maximize. See, first of all, maximize means we were voting 85% or more of all available voters. So I'll look at Harold Washington.
Right.
When Harold Washington ran in Chicago, the reason Harold Washington ran, because 85% or more of eligible and registered African Americans voted.
Exactly.
The problem is, we saw it, of course, we see it where it might, in some places, it's 40 or 50 or 57 or 60 or 61, 65. The reality is, in South Carolina, if black people maximize the vote in South Carolina, they could actually elect Democrats and not Republicans in South Carolina.
Absolutely.
In Mississippi, SB only lost by around 60 or 70,000 votes. We pulled the numbers. the number of black people and poor, broke white folks who didn't vote was double the margin, which is why Reverend Barber keeps saying, Mustafa, you have to mobilize, organize, and register disaffected poor whites, rural black folks, Latinos as well. That's the margin of victory, not trying to throw all this money at some white voters in the suburbs.
Right. They need to focus on building the capacity, and the folks, you know, it's that old adage that says, make sure you stay with the person who brought you to the dance. So, you know, we got 90% of our folks, 88% of men, 92% of women who vote Democratic. But yet we still won't put the money into the organizations that are on the ground that can help to move those numbers up. And we know that in many races across the country, that sometimes it's just 1,000 folks or 2,000 folks that can make a huge difference. But folks still have this, I don't know what it is, why they won't invest in the organizations that actually can help to mobilize that.
Which means, Teresa, that what has to happen, and again, this is where we got to be honest, what has to happen is we got to have black folks, okay, who stop talking that talk, but literally step up and say, I'm going to commit my dollars to maximize black turnout. That means, and I'm not talking, and see, let me be real clear, a lot of y'all watching, because I can already see your little post on Periscope and Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. Well, if our black celebrities and if all the rich black folks would just give $1 million, when the reality is the average donation for Bernie Sanders in 2016 was $28. No, what this requires for folks who are watching to say, I'm gonna send money to Melanie Campbell's group, National Coalition of Black Civic Participation. I'm gonna send money to the black groups that are out there that are going door to door, mobilizing people. The folks like DeWanna Gibson and Be Woke, Adrian Shropshire, Higher Heights, all the people. They are frankly having to go beg white donors, as opposed to black folks saying, wait a minute, we should collectively be able to send $10 and $20 and $30 and raise 2, 3, 5, 10 million. Now we are in control of the money and the whole apparatus, and not, frankly, having some white progressives telling us what to do with it.
I feel like, part of our business is that we specialize in campaigns, right? And so working on local and federal campaigns, I've noticed a trend where you'll have the candidates running, they will do the outreach to one African American, and then that one African American pretty much is supposed to have the ties to all African Americans. And so that white consultant then begets $20,000 and $30,000 for that outreach. And yet some of those dollars that was going to them does not translate into what should be going on for the local level and for the ground level support. So yes, I do believe the candidates need to get engaged, but I also think for some candidates that are running, they need to be taking up those fundraising apparatuses where they're charging $2, you know, doing the Bernie Sanders type of campaign where they're getting momentum over time.
But see, I think, and I get it. I've been highly critical over the years, Avis, when it comes to these campaigns. But what I'm talking about is there has to be an independent, look, just like when I talk about people wanting them to support this show, the reality is CNN and MSNBC and Fox News and the rest of them, they will never do what we do.
Right.
They will never out-black us. They will never.
Right.
Like, I get it. Folks excited when they see Angela Rye and April Ryan and Bakari Sellers and Andrew Gillum on CNN's morning show. We do black panels every day. It ain't no special thing for us. But my point is, we have to have a well-funded, independent, black turnout organization where we understand where our people are,
right,
and we're not beholden to one entity that might be sitting in D.C. or sitting in Virginia or in somebody's campaign office saying, nah, we're not going to put money over here. I remember in 2016, there were people who were scoffing at Donna Brazile when she had put some money in black media in Chicago. And so this is what the white folks were saying. What the hell is that? Why are we put money in black media in Chicago? Because we've got, look, I mean, we got Illinois locked down. No, fool, because black people in Chicago know black people in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Right.
And know black people in Wisconsin. And know black people in Pennsylvania. And know black people next door in Michigan. See, that's part of the deal there. So these white consultants, these white pollsters don't know black people. And so it's like, well, we ain't going to spend money over there.
We'll
put over here.
Absolutely. Let me break down the business of this because I want to carry on what you just introduced to folks. This is a billion-dollar industry. People need to understand this is a multi-billion-dollar business that we're talking about. Let's just first of all be real about that. And the way this business works is that they hire these white firms and they give them multi-million-dollar contracts in order to supposedly reach out to communities of color. And then from the multi-million-dollar contracts, they may get a couple of $100,000 that they subcontract to a black person to do the work. They are getting 98% of the money for doing, damn it, nothing. Let's just like really sort of uncover what's going on.
And for folks who don't
here.
understand is, when the reason they want to put all the money in TV is because the consultant gets a cut of the TV ad buy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So when they say, no, TV, because they don't want to put money on boots on the ground.
Right.
Because they don't get a cut of the boots on the ground. They get a percentage of the media ad buy.
Of which they can privately negotiate and not tell the client how much they're taking out, as
Exactly.
long as it's placed.
And those same white boys will get the million-dollar contracts over and over and over again, even when their candidates lose. We see it all the time. They don't care about maximizing the black vote. They care about maximizing their check. All right? Let's just really be real about that. And so that's why what you're saying is so important, because if we really care about our community and maximizing our power, we have to do it ourselves. Because the traditional people that are making these decisions don't really give a damn about that. What they really care about is being able to have that sort of multi-million-dollar house, be able to ride around in whatever they want to ride around in. And in the meantime, they're not doing the work because they're not invested in doing the work.
But you talked about the important part is that we have to realize that we have power. We have to realize that, we are a $1 trillion economy in ourselves.
Yes.
And how we utilize our dollars can actually change this paradigm, can change the dynamics. And sometimes we forget that. So we've got to invest in ourselves.
So one of the things that we're going to do, and again, this is what happens when it's your shit. You don't have to ask. One of the things that I'm going to do here is we're going to feature the black organizations who are all about maximizing the vote on the ground. So folks know who they are. They can understand where they're targeting people. And then if they want to give, support them. Because the reality is we should be thinking in terms. We should be thinking in terms of raising black people collectively should be thinking about raising anywhere from $10 to $20 million on black specific organizations who are about voter turnout. Now, why do I say that? And I see y'all little comments. Roland, you trying to get us to vote Democrat. So let's see. There are two political parties in America. There is the Republican Party and there is the Democratic Party. At one time, you've had efforts to have a third party. Yes, I'm aware of the Green Party. Show me how many of their candidates have won. The last successful third party we had was the Ross Perot-funded Reform Party. Jesse Ventura happened to be elected governor of Minnesota under the Reform Party. That party no longer exists, and if it does, it's nothing. So, I'm accepting the reality that there are two political parties, Republican Party and Democratic Party. Now, if I'm looking at these two parties, I have to ask a very basic and simple question. And that is, which of these two parties, looking up and down the list, not one or two, not three or four, but I'm talking about in the categories of education, finance of HBCUs, police reform, criminal justice reform, environment, agriculture. I can go down a whole line. Which of these two parties is more likely to be speaking to the interests of black people? I am not saying that one is so amazing, others horrible. Both got issues. But what I do know is that Donald Trump is the leader of the Republican Party. Enough said. Donald Trump has appointed nearly 90% white, male, far-right federal judges for life who do not believe in civil rights, most of them won't even say that Brown versus Board of Education was properly adjudicated by the Supreme Court. They are pro-business, they're anti-consumer, and they're anti-labor. So ask yourself the question, black person, which side are you on? Now, groups that are out there trying to get people to vote, I mean nonpartisan groups. The reality is, I'm not going to tell you how to vote. I'm going to tell you, look at both, and to me, it looks like this. That's the Republican Party, that's the Democratic Party. Because when I was at CBC caucus, it's only 2 black Republicans in Congress. Tim Scott, South Carolina, Will Hurd, Texas in the House. Will Hurd, he leaving. It's going to be just Scott, the lonely black Republican. 55 members of the Congressional Black Caucus. 55 black. 55 Democrat. Now, we have to have this because when Avis talked about maximizing the vote, y'all, and we're gonna do more teaching on this because Mustafa, that's what we have to have here. We gotta teach people to get them to understand what's going on here. The numbers don't lie. If black people maximize their vote in Georgia, Abrams is governor. I know about voter suppression. I know about the voting sites. I'm talking about the number of black people who are either registered and who didn't vote, or those who are eligible to be registered and who don't vote. We as black people, if white folks vote the same way they've been voting, can literally flip the South. The numbers are right there. The numbers don't lie, which is why, Teresa, Republicans are so hell-bent on switching voting locations, closing polling locations, trying Tennessee, where Kristen Clark and Lawrence Committee for Civil Rights Under Law beat back the effort to delay the law there, where they want to penalize criminally people who actually are registering people to vote if you got one small infraction. If black people did not vote the way they did in North Carolina for Obama, where he won by 14,100 votes in 2008, you would not see the level of voter suppression in North Carolina. And y'all want to know how nasty it is? Today, they have the video of a Republican, a white Republican, walking into the room and seeing how his map would look, and then how he went in and tried to split his district to push the black. Y'all got the video. To push, They got the video to push the black people into the Democrat district. He got busted. They wouldn't change the map and immediately announced he was retiring and wouldn't run again.
Oh my God.
Because he knew if the district was drawn fairly, he was going to lose.
Yes.
And so, to me, we have got to say, no. We ain't waiting on the Democratic National Committee or the DCCC or the DSCC or the Emily's List, Democratic Governors Association. Black people are going to have to invest in black voter registration to turn out our people, because and I'm going to tell y'all again, and I want y'all to comment on it. If Donald Trump gets 4 more years, that means at the end of 8 years, the courts alone, he will likely have appointed 400 federal judges who will be there for life, and they only want judges who are between 35 and 45 years old, so they can be on those courts for 40 to 50 years. That's what black folks had better be voting against next year.
And even locally, like outside of in Philly, there is as much as a lifetime appointment it is federally, so locally we have judges that run for election every 10 years. Well, no, every 4-year election cycle, but they run for a 10-year term. And the amount of education that's around what judges are running and what type of cases they prosecuted, and if they are for African Americans, you'd be surprised how many African Americans do not know who these judges are, their background, their cases, and thus when these folks get on the bench and you wonder, God forbid something happens to a family member or themselves and they have to go be approached in front of that judge, the verdict that comes down. And so most of the money, because most they come from being attorneys, they have a whole bunch of money, right? And I'm telling you this story because the way it is locally is the same way nationally. Local candidates, if they're running for a legislative office, they have a little bit of funding, but more so they have relationships. Judges have no relationships. Those who aspire to be judges have no relationships. All they have is a whole bunch of money. They throw it to the black folks. They put them on their ballot. And what I'm saying is it's the ignorance of that also, begets more scrutiny as we talk about, what the African American view is, legally.
Absolutely. But in terms of going back to the federal bench, this is really critical. I think it's important that people understand this is how they encapsulate white minority rule for the next century. Let's just be clear about what's happening here.
Make it plain.
What's happening right now is they see the demographic shifts of this nation. And so they're trying to figure out how can we maintain power when we become a minority.
That is the strategy.
Absolutely. What we have going on right now is the majority of babies born in America right now are already non-white. So they know that the clock is ticking, and they're trying to figure out what can we do to make sure that we have control. If they have the Supreme Court, if they have all of the federal courts, even if you have things going in your direction at the local level, all they have to do is appeal it, and then they can have their boys roll everything back. This is how you encase white minority rule for the rest of our lifetimes and the rest of our children's lifetime. This is what's at stake.
That's exactly right. We've seen it play out, and we've talked about it before on the show. All you have to do is look at South Africa and how the apartheid system was put in place so that people could hold on to power. So we're talking about federal judges, but we also have to have a conversation about district attorneys. We have to have a conversation about sheriffs and police chiefs and mayors, and this is why your vote is so incredibly important, because it is all wrapped up. And once you enter into this system, the system is set up currently to help some people and to cause some real harm to other people. And if you are not willing to invest your vote, if you're not willing to get registered, make sure you have the right IDs that we have to deal with right now. Help get people to the polls and then vote and then stay engaged in the process, then you get what you're going to get, because these folks are not having your best interest at heart. So if you want an apartheid system, then don't vote. But if you actually want real change to happen in our country, then you got to get up off the couch. And here's what I often say, because this frustrates the hell out of me. People will go and stand in line to get into a club or to get into a show for hours. They will spend an incredible amount of money, and I ain't taking anything away from the incredible folks who are artists and entertainers. We should support that. But you should also support with your bodies and your time and your resources helping to make your communities better.
Let me say it again. When we fund our organizations on voter mobilization, the result is what happens locally and nationally. Those of y'all who weren't born in 1984, 1988, Reverend Jackson registered 2 million largely black people when he ran for office. That's how Richard Shelby became the Democratic United States Senator from Alabama. Now, he rewarded those folks, but later flipped it to the Republican Party, and he's still a Republican. But the reality is this, and I've met these folks, there were black people who for the first time were elected to city councils, sheriffs, mayors, county commissioners, state reps, and state senators all across the country, from the Southeast to the South to the Midwest. I met black people who were elected in California for the first time because Reverend Jackson ran, because black folks were registered and turned out. There was a nearly 3% drop in black turnout in 2016. Some say that's one of the reasons why Hillary Clinton lost. I ain't putting that on black people, but the reality is this. If you were young and black, if you are middle-aged and black, if you are old and black, first of all, I ain't worried about the old black people. They vote.
Yes, they do.
I'm talking about all y'all sorry asses who are 18 to 55.
Okay.
Because 55 plus, they vote. They'll tell you in a heartbeat. But I'm telling you right now, and I'm warning people, I don't want to have to be using hashtag we tried to tell you against black people. The plan, if you think Stephen Miller has targeted people of color on immigration in the last 2.5 years, watch what happens if they get 4 more.
Oh, yes.
If you think that this Trump Department of Justice has coddled police departments since he won, oh, you don't want to see what will happen if he gets 4 more years. I'm telling you, it's abundantly clear what's going on. Black people are going to have to fund our own voter registration efforts and not wait on white philanthropists, white donors, and the Democratic Party. We're going to demand that they put the money where it's supposed to go. But we also got to be able to have our own infrastructure to make it happen, just like we got to have our own media to make it happen. Because if we wait for them and then wonder why it's 57% turnout, that's on us. And I'm telling you right now, I see what Trump's folks are doing. And this thing gonna be ugly. And what Ava said in terms of this white agenda, y'all, that's real. Because they see the demographic changes happening and everything they're doing is all about 2043. 2043, that's what the concern is. All right, folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment. That's my man, my frat brother, Gerald Albright. It's going to be one other talented artist who is going to be in Cabo November 7th through the 11th for the Life Luxe Jazz Experience. Folks, it's going to be an unbelievable 4 days at the Omnia Day Club, Los Cabos, nestled on the Sea of Cortez in the celebrity playground of Los Cabos, Mexico. Folks, it's going to be the ultimate jazz getaway. It's going to be great food. It's going to be libations. It's going to be, golf and spa and health and wellness, all that good stuff. It's going to be an unbelievable experience. I'll be broadcasting Roland Martin Unfiltered from there that Thursday and then Friday. I want you guys to be there. So while everybody else is freezing in the Midwest and the East Coast, we're going to be enjoying the sun in Los Cabos. Folks, some amazing, amazing artists. Comedian actor Mark Curry, as I said, Gerald Albright, Alex Bunyong, Raul Madon, Incognito, Pieces of a Dream, Kirk Whalum, Average White Band, Donnie McClurkin, Shalea, Roy Ayers, Tom Brown, Ronnie Laws, Ernest Quarles. An amazing, amazing lineup. For more information, I want y'all to go to lifeluxjazz.com and check out all the different packages that you can get. You want to get it now because, of course, air flights are going to be a lot more costly as we get towards November. But go to lifeluxejazz.com, lifeluxjazz.com. I'm going to be there. It's going to be a fantastic time. I can't wait to go see all those amazing performances. every single night, folks, is going to be somebody performing. It's just going to be fantastic. So go to lifeluxejazz.com. We'd love to see you there. And then you can come celebrate my 51st birthday a little bit early. And trust me, we're going to have a good time because y'all know I'm a dance. I don't drink, but I'm a dance. I'm going to play golf. We're going to have a good time. So love to see you, lifeluxejazz.com. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered.